Welcome to Spaceverse, your portal to cosmic adventures. For generations, humanity has gazed into the night sky, not just hunting for new worlds or mysterious signals, but for the impossible, those fleeting moments when the universe breaks its own rules. And now, the James Webb Space Telescope might have found exactly that. What started as a simple observation of an ordinary interstellar visitor, the third ever spotted in our solar system, has turned into something extraordinary. The object, known as 3I Atlas, has rewritten everything we thought we knew about what drifts between the stars. Because somewhere beyond Mars, in that cold, endless dark, Webb detected something it should never have found. Not just light, but artificial light. A glow that no comet, no asteroid, no natural body could produce. Its behavior defies every known law of reflection, radiation, and reason. Now, astronomers are left haunted by a single, chilling question. What is 3I Atlas? Stay with us as we unravel the data that has reignited humanity's oldest and most unsettling question. Are we truly alone? 3I Atlas was first noticed as a faint speck at the solar system's edge, moving on a path no local object could ever take. It wasn't one of ours. It came from deep space, flung across the galaxy, a visitor from another star. Like Oumuamua and Borisov before it, it was cataloged, tracked, and analyzed, at first, just another cosmic wanderer. But from the very beginning, something was off. It was too bright. Not shimmering like a comet shedding ice or dust, but glowing, steady, controlled. Its brightness didn't match its size, its shape, or even its composition. It shone with the strange consistency of something. Powered. So, telescopes around the world turned toward it. And then, the James Webb Space Telescope, the most powerful eye humanity has ever opened to the universe, took its turn. What Webb saw didn't clarify the mystery. It deepened it. The telescope detected a heat source radiating from the object's core. Not reflected sunlight. Not thermal emission from ice. This was energy coming from within. A pulse. Faint, irregular, but rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Every natural explanation collapsed under scrutiny. No radioactive decay. No exotic ice. No cometary jets. The data pointed to something that seemed impossible. 3I Atlas might be generating its own power. As Webb, Hubble, and ground-based observatories continued to observe, the picture grew even stranger. Its path wasn't random, it was precise. Its spin didn't wobble, it was stabilized. Even when exposed to solar radiation, it showed no comet tail, almost as if something was shielding it. Piece by piece, a terrifying possibility began to take shape. 3I Atlas doesn't act like a rock, it acts like a machine. Then came the discovery that split the scientific world in two. When astronomers measured the object's albedo, its reflectivity, they found something astonishing. Parts of 3I Atlas weren't just shiny, they were perfectly reflective, nearly mirror-like. Not rock, not ice, not dust, metal. The realization hit the astronomical community like a shockwave. If this thing was metallic, structured, and generating its own energy, then we were no longer staring at a natural object drifting through space. We were staring at technology. Suddenly, quiet conversations turned into encrypted debates. Words once banished as science fiction began surfacing in serious discussions: probe, beacon, craft, even artifact. The idea that this might be an alien spacecraft was no longer confined to late-night conspiracy forums. It was now whispered in the corridors of NASA and the ESA. But the real bombshell wasn't its surface, or its heat, or even its flight path. It was the light. When scientists analyzed its spectrum, they found something deeply unsettling. The light wasn't broad or scattered like sunlight bouncing off rock. It was focused, narrow, controlled. A precision band of wavelengths, exactly the kind of emission humans create with lasers, LED arrays, and communication systems. Even stranger, that frequency band overlapped with those used here on Earth for guidance and signal transmission. And then it responded. The light flickered, subtly, rhythmically, as if adjusting itself to changes in solar radiation. Not random, not natural. Reactive. Teams ran the data through every known model: stellar interference, power rotation, magnetic cycling. The results? Inconclusive, but impossible to ignore. Some saw hints of binary sequences. Others believed it could be a rotating energy source. But whatever it was, one thing became terrifyingly clear. 3I Atlas wasn't just reflecting light. It was sending it. And for the first time, humanity realized we might not just be observing this object, we might be witnessing it in action. As the data kept flowing in, a joint research team from MIT and Harvard took a closer look at the strange electromagnetic emissions coming from 3I Atlas. At first, it all looked like random static, just cosmic noise scattered across the spectrum. But when the team ran deep Fourier analysis to sift through the chaos, patterns began to emerge. Hidden beneath the interference, faint, deliberate, and hauntingly precise, was a repeating pulse. Too structured to be random, too ordered to be natural. It wasn't a simple binary code, nor did it match any known form of human modulation. But to those who studied it, one thing was undeniable: it was intentional. Some believed it could be a beacon, a signal meant to be heard across the stars, repeating endlessly for whoever or whatever was meant to receive it. Others suggested it might be telemetry, a continuous data stream relaying information back to its point of origin. But what truly unsettled the researchers was this: the signal never changed. From the moment Webb first locked onto 3I Atlas, the transmission remained perfectly steady, no drift, no decay, no evolution, as if the object wasn't speaking to us at all, but to someone else. And maybe, just maybe, that someone had already answered. News of the discovery didn't stay confined to academia for long. Within weeks, the findings reached the upper echelons of NASA, and soon, classified discussions were taking place across defense and intelligence agencies worldwide. A leaked internal report, its authenticity never officially confirmed, suggested that global space agencies were already coordinating a quiet response. Contingency plans, tracking operations, risk assessments. Inside those reports, opinions were divided. Some scientists insisted that 3I Atlas was likely ancient, a relic of some long-gone civilization, drifting on a preset course, repeating a forgotten message into the void. But others were far less optimistic. They began asking the questions no one wanted to hear: if it's transmitting, who's receiving? If it's emitting light, does it also have propulsion? If it's here, why now? The report went even further, suggesting a chilling possibility: 3I Atlas might not be a wanderer at all. It might be watching, tracking planetary alignments, mapping electromagnetic signatures, maybe even observing intelligent life. And if that were true, it raised one final, terrifying question: if this object isn't alone, then what's coming after it? Further investigation into the strange luminosity of 3I Atlas led to a theory that changed everything. The object wasn't just emitting energy, it was harvesting it. Astronomers noticed that its brightness fluctuated with distance from the sun, not randomly, but rhythmically. The pattern suggested a deliberate interaction with solar radiation. There were no chemical reactions, no sublimating ice or venting gases. Instead, it behaved like something drawing power directly from light itself. A group of theorists led by Dr. Lowe proposed a stunning idea. 3I Atlas might be equipped with a solar collection array, a photonic absorption system hidden beneath its surface. Even the faint dust cloud surrounding it could have a purpose: to camouflage its structure while simultaneously absorbing energy. If that were true, then 3I Atlas wasn't a dead rock drifting through the void. It was alive in the mechanical sense. A self-sustaining probe, built to travel endlessly between stars, feeding on starlight, sleeping through the dark, and awakening when it finds something interesting. And if it truly activated upon entering our solar system, then the signal has already been received. As nations quietly convened behind closed doors, one truth began to sink in: we are not ready. For all our decades of speculation, for all the movies, the theories, the hopes and fears, humanity remains utterly unprepared for what this could mean. Politically, scientifically, philosophically, no official statements have been made. Yet leaked documents from France, Japan, and Brazil all point toward the same unsettling conclusion: this isn't just an anomaly. It might be first contact, unfolding in slow motion. And unlike the stories we've told ourselves, there are no grand arrivals, no lights in the sky, no clear answers. Just data, just light, just silence. The James Webb Space Telescope continues to watch 3I Atlas day after day, collecting every photon, every flicker, every pulse. But with every answer it delivers, two new questions emerge. If this is contact, it's not on our terms. It's quiet, distant, unsettling. And perhaps that's the most terrifying part of all, because this may not be an invitation. It may be surveillance. And somewhere out there, across the cold depths of space, we may have already been seen. Just when astronomers thought they'd finally mapped 3I Atlas's path, when its movement seemed steady, predictable, it changed. Without warning, its luminosity spiked. This wasn't a gradual brightening as it neared the sun. It was a burst, a violent surge of light captured in real time by the James Webb Space Telescope and verified by observatories across the globe. In less than 2 minutes, its brightness jumped by nearly 40%, and then leveled off, holding steady at a new, higher intensity. There was no impact, no solar flare, no dust plume or radiation surge, nothing. It was as if, somewhere out there in the darkness, something had flipped a switch. But the light wasn't the only thing that changed. Its thermal signature shifted too, an unmistakable rise, concentrated deep within the object, as if internal systems had suddenly powered on. Theorists began whispering about a possibility so unnerving that few dared put it in writing. 3I Atlas had awakened. Perhaps the heat from our sun had triggered it. Or perhaps it was something else. Maybe it noticed us noticing it. And if that flare was intentional, then it was meant to be seen. Moments after the brightening, orbital data from multiple space agencies confirmed another anomaly. 3I Atlas was no longer following its projected course. It had shifted. Not much, just a few fractions of a degree, but enough to raise alarms. The new trajectory couldn't be explained by gravity or solar pressure. Even the most generous models failed to account for it. This wasn't drift, it was movement, a course correction, and more disturbing still, its new path carried it closer to the plane of Earth's orbit. The object was no longer just passing through. It had, in effect, changed lanes. Some scientists urged caution, calling it a gravitational quirk, an illusion in the data, but others saw it for what it might truly be, a maneuver, the kind no rock, comet, or natural body has ever made. And if 3I Atlas truly possessed even limited propulsion or navigation, then it wasn't a relic at all. It was a vessel moving with intent. When the object drifted close enough for spectroscopic analysis by both the James Webb and Hubble Space Telescopes, the data revealed something extraordinary. Inside its reflected light, scientists began to detect materials that shouldn't exist. Traces of highly reflective metallic alloys, rare earth elements, and, most unsettling of all, spectral absorption lines belonging to compounds unknown to science. These weren't the fingerprints of ice, dust, or stone. They were the signatures of engineering. Some of the detected spectra didn't match any known natural formation, but bore eerie resemblance to theoretical materials once proposed in advanced quantum laboratories, substances that could only exist under immense magnetic fields or within quantum confinement systems. That realization left scientists with two equally staggering possibilities. Either 3I Atlas was ancient, a relic forged billions of years ago by a civilization long vanished, or it was new, crafted by a species with technology far beyond our comprehension. The materials themselves became the loudest message of all. Even if we couldn't decode its signal, the object itself was proof of design. And that changed everything. As the evidence mounted, governments and agencies worldwide began to move, not publicly, but with unmistakable urgency. Observatory networks quietly upgraded their encryption. Research teams were reassigned under new directives. Satellite constellations across multiple nations underwent routine recalibrations, none of which appeared on public schedules. Behind closed doors, spacefaring nations convened emergency sessions. A leaked report from an international defense consortium painted a chilling picture. 3I Atlas might not be a wanderer. It could be a scout. Its structural stability, consistent rotation, and apparent ability to function across interstellar distances all pointed to one conclusion. This was a designed machine, built for endurance, built for observation. And if it's observing, then somewhere, someone may be watching back. But if 3I Atlas was a scout, what was it looking for? And more disturbingly, what might come next? Across universities, observatories, and defense command centers, a chilling consensus began to take shape. Humanity was no longer asking if we were alone. We were beginning to accept that we weren't. And perhaps, this wasn't first contact at all. It was first evaluation. As debates raged behind encrypted channels, one bold team at the SETI Institute decided to do what no one else dared. They reached out. Using one of the most powerful radio arrays on Earth, they transmitted a focused pulse directly toward the coordinates of 3I Atlas. The message was simple, universal, a greeting written in the language of science. Sequences of mathematical constants, the periodic table, and pictographic representations of humanity. It was meant to be a cosmic handshake, a cautious, humble hello. Days passed, then a week. Silence. The transmission was almost archived as another unanswered call into the void, until a monitoring station in Chile picked up something strange. A narrow band return signal, faint but distinct. It wasn't noise. It wasn't an echo. It was timed, mirroring the original transmission pattern almost perfectly, but shifted slightly off frequency. Enough to prove it wasn't a natural reflection. It had been received, processed, and sent back. And the detail that shook the SETI team the most, the timing. The return arrived exactly 72 hours after transmission to the second. It meant the sender had calculated the delay. It meant the response was intentional. Then things got stranger. In the hours following the detection of the return ping, observatories around the world began reporting technical anomalies. Webb's infrared instruments showed erratic thermal fluctuations, the first such occurrence since its deployment. Hubble's gyroscopic sensors began registering micro-oscillations, despite maintaining perfect orientation. On the ground, telescopes across multiple continents started encountering glitches, misaligned star charts, frozen data streams, corrupted image files. But the pattern was undeniable. The errors didn't occur randomly. They happened in synchronized intervals, across systems that weren't even connected, as if someone or something didn't want us looking too closely. A theory soon surfaced from a classified Black Ops think tank buried deep within the European Space Agency. 3i Atlas wasn't just emitting signals, it was interfering with ours. The object, they claimed, was jamming us, selectively, deliberately. The implications were staggering. A passive visitor doesn't hide its presence. A scout does. If 3i Atlas was choosing what we could see, and when we could see it, then humanity wasn't observing the object at all. We were being granted permission to look, and then silence. Within days of the signal event, chaos turned to secrecy. Data from the James Webb Telescope was delayed, redacted, and finally rerouted through internal networks. Public access vanished. The European Space Agency issued a vague statement about instrument recalibration. NASA stopped commenting altogether. Even the world's most reputable journals began retracting coverage or publishing sanitized summaries devoid of detail. The scientific community fractured. Some believed agencies were simply verifying their findings before going public. Others whispered something far darker, that the truth had already been confirmed and was now being contained. A handful of independent observatories fought to release raw data streams to the public, but they were drowned in a tidal wave of misinformation, speculation, and noise. What had begun as a global scientific mystery was now a strategic asset. And history has shown what happens when discoveries become classified, truth dies in silence. Desperate for clarity, a coalition of astronomers and mathematicians turned to pattern recognition and probability theory. They weren't searching for communication anymore, they were searching for intent. And that's when they found it. When plotted against the positions of the planets, 3i Atlas's trajectory wasn't random. It traced a Fibonacci arc, that ancient spiral of perfect proportions seen in galaxies' seashells. And, curiously, in many of Earth's communication protocols. The timing of its light flares, its course shifts, even the mysterious return ping, all of them aligned with prime number sequences. The odds of these patterns occurring naturally, astronomically low. These weren't coincidences. They were choices. It meant that 3i Atlas wasn't just flying through the solar system, it was navigating it, following a plan, a pattern, perhaps even a schedule. And then, the most chilling theory of all began to spread. 3i Atlas might not be a probe. It might be a message. Not a message of words or signals, but one written in motion, light, and behavior. And we had just decoded the first word. As the dust of speculation settles, one truth stands unshaken. 3i Atlas was never just a rock. From its unnatural light to its structured signal, from its rare materials to its calculated maneuvers, every detail points to the same inescapable conclusion. We have not been alone for a very long time, and perhaps we were never meant to know. The James Webb Space Telescope, designed to peer into the birth of galaxies, may have instead captured something else entirely, something ancient, something deliberate, something watching, not from a distant star system, but from here, the threshold of our own celestial neighborhood. And yet, the silence continues. The agencies say nothing. The data is sealed away. The world, it seems, has been judged not ready. But we saw the light. We traced the path. And now we face the question that chills even the most rational minds. What happens next? Was 3i Atlas merely passing through, cataloging our world before drifting onward? Or was it the first of many, a vanguard, paving the way for something greater, something waiting for a signal to move forward? In the end, it may not matter whether 3i Atlas was machine or something beyond comprehension. What matters is this: it came, it saw, and it answered. And somewhere out there in the cold, endless dark, something may now be looking back. The countdown, perhaps, has already begun. And the universe reminds us once again, we are not the center. We are the observed. And out there, between the stars, something watches. Maybe it's a probe. Maybe it's a messenger. Or maybe it's a reminder that the universe doesn't revolve around us. We just happen to be in its way. 3i Atlas isn't just a story. It's a question carved in metal and light, and the answer might already be on its way. Until then, we listen, we observe, we wonder. This is Spaceverse, where science meets the unknown, and the unknown stares back.